Franklin D. Roosevelt biography. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 13 January 1882, 12 April 1945, often referred by his initials FDR, was the 32nd President of the United States. He served through the Great Depression and the Second World War. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin Roosevelt first inaugural address. FDR was elected during the height of the Great Depression in 1932 and remained president until his death in 1945. During his presidency, he oversaw an expansion of the federal government and helped America lose its isolationist stance, as it took a lead role in the defeat of the Axis powers, Japan and Germany during the World War II. As the war came to a conclusion, he had to lay the foundations for the United Nations. Roosevelt was a very influential figure in both American and world politics. Early life. FDR Roosevelt was born on 13 January 1882 in Hyde Park, New York, to a wealthy family. He was brought up with a privileged background, but was influenced by his headmaster at Gordon School in Massachusetts, who inculcated the importance of Christian duty in helping less fortunate people. After school, he went to Harvard, where he studied economics. He was an unremarkable student, but became editor of the Harvard Crimson, which suited his capacity to manage other people. Roosevelt and Churchill. Roosevelt had a close relationship with Winston Churchill. There was a strong mutual admiration. At one point, Roosevelt said, "Is it fun being in the same decade as you?" Together with Churchill and Stalin, the Big Three have laid the foundations for the post-war period, which included the setting up of the United Nations, successors to the League of Nations. Roosevelt died unexpectedly from the massive brain hemorrhage in April 1945. Just before the first meeting of the United Nations, his death stunned the world, and he was remembered as a champion of freedom and a man of humanity and optimism. The legacy of Roosevelt. Many scholars rate Roosevelt as the greatest U.S. president of all time, or at least in the top three. He navigated the U.S. through one of the most difficult challenges in world history, strengthening U.S. democracy at a time when many countries embraced fascism. He also laid the foundations of federal support for the unemployed and the beginnings of the social safety net, which have kept the country together during a time of economic catastrophe. Roosevelt were also highly instrumental in leading the U.S. war efforts against Japan and Germany. He was a skilled diplomat and successful work with Churchill and Stalin is one of the most important aliens and in military history. When Roosevelt took office in 1932, the U.S. were in a deep depression and isolated on the world stage. When he died in 1945, the U.S. had emerged as the world's dominant economic and political superpower, and as the U.S. emerged as the dominant military force. He was the most powerful voice of the alliance.